Coming up next on this special edition of the RCWR show, we take a look at the 5th annual WWE TLC Tables, Ladders, and Chairs pay-per-view that's going to be coming our way from Houston, Texas this Sunday, December 15th. We'll get you guys prepared as we preview all the matches that we have thus far coming from this pay-per-view and also offer winners. So find out who we think is going to be walking away victorious from Sunday's TLC in a special installment of our Call That Match edition. It's the RCWR show covering WWE TLC, and it begins right now.
The following is an Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, interactive. You're listening to the RCWR show with Lee Sanders.
Welcome to this special edition of the RCWR show. I am your host, the one and only, the Black Avenger, aka the Black Azrael, Lee Sanders. Thank you all so much for checking out this episode. So, coming up this Sunday, December 15th, is WWE's 5th annual TLC pay-per-view. And if you're keeping track at home, this is the 5th inaugural pay-per-view that's going to be coming to us from the WWE. But the TLC concept, it has existed a lot longer than that. But, you know, we only want to pinpoint key TLC moments in WWE history, as who could forget Edge and Christian taking on the Dudley Boys and Jeff and Matt Hardy of the Hardys at WrestleMania 17. Or I got one better for you. How about DX taking on Jericho at WWE TLC back 2009? Or maybe Edge versus Undertaker, One Night Stand 2008 as they met in their respective TLC match. Or how about CM Punk taking on Jeff Hardy for the World Heavyweight title, SummerSlam 2009. You know, when you look back on the TLC history, just the matches themselves, we have really been fortunate to get some pretty solid matches. So when you think about the history of some of those TLC matches that I named, or whatever other TLC matches might come to your mind, one thing is for certain: with TLC, the pay-per-view itself, it's been somewhat relatively known to generate a little bit of buzz, definitely give you some memories. And one of the big memories that's going to be coming about for sure from this Sunday's pay-per-view is the main event match, in which sees the World Heavyweight Champion John Cena taking on the WWE Champion Randy Orton in a tables, ladders, and chairs match for the unification of the WWE and World Heavyweight titles. We'll get to that main event match in the later part of the show, but for now, let's go on ahead and let's look at some of the other matches that's going to be coming our way from Sunday's pay-per-view. Let's take it from the bottom and work our way to that main event match. We start things off with Big E Langston, who's going to be taking on the intellectual savior, you're welcome, Damian Sandow, for the Intercontinental Championship. You know, just based on what we've been seeing for the past couple of weeks, I'm still not really invested into this match. I just kind of really feel as though Damian Sandow is just being spoon-fed to Big E Langston. There's not really enough that's there to really sink your teeth into. We only saw Damian Sandow within the past 2 weeks get named the new #1 contender to face Big E Langston for the IC title, but even at that, not just quite enough, I feel, to really feel invested into this match. But that's why I'm looking at, for this first encounter, I'm looking at for there to be a continuation even after TLC. Will Big E Langston be as strong and dominant on his other opponents when it comes to Damian Sandow? Yes, it's highly probable. But you know, if I was booking this match a certain way, I would kind of make this match come off as though, man, and this is the way that I'm really looking at this match, kind of like the Savage, Green, Incredible Hulk, the Dumb Hulk, taking on Doctor Doom. And as we all know that are familiar with our comic books, at least, if not with the comic books, definitely from the cartoons, just when you think Dr. Doom, he's got the one-up on the Incredible Hulk, he makes him out to be this stupid savage beast. Hulk always surprises him. That's how I'm kind of looking at this particular match right here. Damian Sandow, he may be overconfident is how I've been picking up his vibe in recent weeks dealing with Big E Langston. I think Damian Sandow might be biting off a little bit more than he can chew. I think he's going to overestimate Big E Langston. So I'm saying for the first part of this match, I would say look for a series of counters. I would say WWE, if they're kind of booking this right, they may kind of downplay Big E Langston's strength just a little tiny bit, just a little bit, not too much. But I think as far as the finish of the match goes, I truly believe that Damian Sandow, he's going to find himself to be in the position where Big E Langston is just too much for him, and he may settle for a count out. We could see Damian Sandow just exit the ring and say, you know what? Next time, we'll do this dance later. That way they can continue this program with Langston and Sandow. I really do not want to see there be a squash match, as this is going to be the first time that they're going to be locking it up for the title. I think WWE has something golden going on right here. Look for Damian Sandow to probably walk away, settle for a count out. So Big E Langston wins. He retains via count out. Let's go to our next match. AJ Lee is going to be taking on Natalya for the WWE Divas title. You know, these two girls, they've been going at it on main WWE program the past couple of weeks. We were kind of under the impression that based off of a match that they had a couple of weeks ago on main event, which was for the Divas title, that maybe that was going to be Natalya's one and only shot. But as we would see during the course of the past several weeks, Natalya, she's been right there staring into the face of the Divas champion, and lo and behold, Natalya having another opportunity to fight for the Divas championship. Will Natalya succeed this time around? That is the main question. You know, a lot of great intrigue goes into this match, I feel. You think about the success of the Total Divas, the fact that AJ Lee is not part of that, and basically this is kind of like a WWE girl taking on a Total Divas girl. So, do you have Natalya go over, or do you let AJ Lee retain the title? You know, honestly, for me personally, it just kind of feels as though AJ Lee, her fire has kind of died down a little bit ever since she got paired up with Tamina. I don't know what was up, but the first couple of weeks after Tamina came on board, seemed like they were pretty white hot. But then AJ, she just started to kind of just, I can't put the right words into play here, but it just kind of really feels as though she just went on a slight decline, as Natalya's just been picking up a lot of great momentum. And with the big news that E is picking up Total Divas for another season, you gotta have some great momentum going into play, I would think, to really hype up Total Divas. But Natalya, I just don't feel it's time just yet. I don't quite see her getting that Divas title. But then you kind of have to ask yourself, well, if it's not going to be Natalya to get the title from AJ, then who else? I'm still sticking with my guns on this one. I think what would make a really great WrestleMania story is to have the Bellas go at it for the Divas title. I think one of the Bellas needs to defeat AJ Lee, and then they go on, they defend it for the next couple of months, and then you just have it be sister versus sister at WrestleMania. I think WWE might really be on to something right there. I think that could generate a little bit of buzz, especially for the Divas division. I mean, how badass would that be to have the two Total Diva girls, the two top faces of that TV series, go at it at WrestleMania? I love that idea. I'm looking for AJ Lee to retain over Natalya. Where do they go after that? Well, honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing Natalya maybe try to chase AJ Lee for the title one last time, but would fans be able to really tolerate that? That's the real question. Only time will tell, but for this night, TLC, I'm looking at AJ Lee to retain the title. Probably one of the most peculiar matches that's going to be coming out from TLC sees Daniel Bryan taking on all three members of the Wyatt family in a 3-on-1 handicap match. He's going to be taking on all three members at the same time. You know, to look at this match, I really can't, because there's one other match that really mirrors this that we also have to talk about, which is CM Punk versus The Shield. That's right, CM Punk will be taking on all three members of The Shield in a 3-on-1 handicap match, and he's going to be facing all three of those guys at the same time, just like Daniel Bryan. I think this is a case right here where folks, and I know many of you are tripping over this, a lot of you are under the impression that for these two particular matches, it's just going to be an all-out onslaught, that it's just stupid booking by WWE's part. I think there's a little bit more to this story that meets the eye. If I'm looking at these two particular matches, especially as far as the order of them, I would say you get the Daniel Bryan versus the Wyatt family out the way first. Now look, I really strongly believe that leading up into the pay-per-view, if I'm booking this, I'm going to have CM Punk cross paths with Daniel Bryan, and I'm going to have the two of them talking to say, look, this is some pretty big odds that's stacked against us. Don't really see how we're going to be able to come out of this on top. But hey, we are going to need to go out swinging. I can see an angle play out where CM Punk and Daniel Bryan, they devise a plan to try to basically have each other's back in their respective matches. Maybe even team up to try to do a little bit of divide and conquer. Maybe do some type of mind games with the Shield and the Wyatt family that could basically go down in a way where they could lead them to some type of a trap and set it up in a way where it very well could possibly be a one-on-one match, or it could be some type of a scenario where they do the divide and conquer, basically do 2-on-1 beatdowns, and that can cause a little bit of weakness when it comes time for them to do these 3-on-1 handicap matches. I truly believe, looking at the Daniel Bryan versus the Wyatt family, I think the way that this is probably going to be playing out, if I'm booking this, I gotta have Daniel Bryan be in a position where he's got a bit of a slight advantage over the Wyatt family because of some backstage antics that he did. This could be a scenario where, if handled right, it could actually be Daniel Bryan going one-on-one with Bray Wyatt after he, CM Punk, they gang up on Luke Harper, Eric Rowan. So there you have it right there. I think that could really be your main event match, but I think Daniel Bryan would get screwed from picking up the victory, as eventually Luke Harper, Eric Rowan, they could eventually come to the save of Bray Wyatt, and then you really can't DQ Daniel Bryan, you know, because it's supposed to be a 3-on-1 handicap match. As long as you have one of the participants in the ring representing that respected team, you can still have this match be on. So honestly, if I'm booking this right, I would have Daniel Bryan get a serious beatdown by the Wyatt family. You know, just kind of throw the WWE universe off a little bit, you know, let them come in at the end, beat them down. That's it. Wyatt family picks up the win. Now, something interesting that I think would be pretty cool is if afterwards the Wyatts, they grab Daniel Bryan, they take him to the back to kind of give the WWE universe that, oh, Bray Wyatt, he must still be serious about having Daniel Bryan join forces with him. Would be kind of nice to see the Wyatts pretty much jack Daniel Bryan at the end of the match, take him to parts unknown. Hopefully it won't be another scenario where Daniel Bryan ends up in an alley or a parking lot or some stupid crap like that, because hearing that the first time, that was just downright silly, okay? Now, let's look at CM Punk taking on all three members of the Shield. To CM Punk's advantage, he may get the upper hand in this because remember, there's a little bit of a rift going on between Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns that's been heightened over the course of the past couple of weeks. We got Roman Reigns who feels as though he's the biggest, baddest man on the planet. You know he's probably going to have a lot to prove in this match, as by default, it really should have been him that should have taken on CM Punk this past Friday night on SmackDown, but Dean Ambrose interjecting himself in there instead, and he basically picking up the L for his team. I know it doesn't probably sit too well with Roman Reigns, let alone Seth Rollins, but that could be exploited to CM Punk's advantage. Now, one scenario that I could see coming about from this is CM Punk, he could very well get out of this match if, once again, CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, they join forces, they single out key members of the Shield, just as they did with the Wyatts. They could be on a little bit of a backstage beatdown streak, and this could be a scenario where CM Punk could just be looking one-on-one, maybe with Roman Reigns. That's one scenario that could play out, folks. I'm not saying it's 100% accurate, but that's one angle that could play out. It could be a one-on-one match, and just like with the Wyatts, we could see the other Shield members come in later on. Or this could be a scenario where CM Punk is brilliantly able to take advantage of the friction that's going on amongst the Shield members and use it to his advantage in a way where he can basically kind of play into the head of the Shield members and making them be the ones that want to have the bragging rights in pinning the former WWE champion, the best in the world at what he does. And I think as a result of that, I would dare say, look for all three members of the Shield to try to jockey for position in this match. Look for them to try to be that top dog, that top guy that's going to get those bragging rights in defeating and pinning CM Punk, because after all, with the Royal Rumble coming just around the corner, I dare say this could be one of those key points where we're going to see the Shield members try to jockey for a position in being that top guy. You all know what's at stake with the Royal Rumble. Win that bad boy and you get a shot at the WWE champion on the grandest stage of them all, WrestleMania. I think this is really one of those type of moments that WWE is really setting up in the next evolution known as breaking up the Shield. I like that idea. I'm really sold on that. Look for friction to go down amongst the Shield members, which CM Punk will be able to use at his advantage to pick up the victory despite it being 3-on-1. Even though they haven't projected it yet, we're putting it out there the way things are looking right now. The Rhodes brothers, Cody Rhodes, Goldust, they look to be defending their WWE Tag Team titles against the team of Ryback, Curtis Axel. Two guys that are basically making something from out of nothing. I project them to be taking on the tag team champions for the titles, given the events that came about from Friday Night SmackDown last week. But despite that, I am definitely seeing the Rhodes brothers just steamroll over Ryback and Curtis Axel. I think we all could be in agreement. For those of us that aren't particularly too fond of Ryback and Curtis Axel, it's not really something that you can really sink your teeth into. No doubt, if I'm going to project this, honestly, I think the Rhodes brothers are really going to surprise us with their work with Curtis Axel and Ryback. I think this could be one of those type of matches that could very well get an honorable mention as far as being a surprise hit. And in our main event match of the evening, it is said to be 11 years in the making. The World Heavyweight Champion John Cena taking on the WWE Champion Randy Orton in a tables, ladders, and chairs match for the unification of the WWE and World Heavyweight titles. This is a match that WWE will almost have you to want to forget or have you believe, or a combination of both, that this is the first time something of this has ever happened, as Jerry Lawler epically failed to try to project last week on WWE Raw. Never mind that Chris Jericho was the first undisputed champion. Never mind that we saw the likes of Triple H, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, The Undertaker, Hulk Hogan, Brock Lesnar all hold this respected title, all be crowned the undisputed champion. Never mind all that, even though we've seen it. But we can go with the whole argument that this is 11 years in the making, because they are right about that. As for the past 11 years, we have seen nothing but two champions in the WWE. And I know this is a match that is going to have a lot of folks talking. A lot of eyes are going to be paying very close attention to this match, because it's going to determine the future of the WWE. So many of you, including myself, have been very vocal about why there needs to continue to be two champions in the WWE. Just that platform that WWE is creating for future and potential WWE champions. It's good to have the World Heavyweight title there, because you can give them a run with that title first to see how they handle the pressure of being one of the top performers. And all in all, it really determines if they're going to get a shot as the WWE champion. And this match right here, a lot that is going on. There is a lot at stake right here. You know, it kind of goes back to the argument that I had earlier this month, which was, okay, so WWE is giving us this match. This is their final pay-per-view of the year. They're giving us this match. Is this their way of trying to make up for what had went down with Survivor Series, Hell in a Cell, WWE Battleground? I think so. Could we see one champion walk out of this pay-per-view? We very well could. If I'm looking at this, if I'm booking it right, I would have to have Randy Orton go over. And I'm going to tell you the reason why I would like to see Randy Orton go over. Just think about the promo that John Cena had cut on Orton during the contract signing. I mean, he really ripped into him. He degraded the hell out of Randy Orton, pointing out how Orton was paired up with Triple H, Ric Flair, Dave Bautista, and Evolution. He basically had access to all this great wrestling knowledge, and he just kept finding himself to be in trouble, even getting to the point where at least 2 times he violated the WWE wellness policy. He was very close to being on his way out the door. Randy Orton has been a bad boy in the WWE, but through it all, somehow he has been able to win the good folks over in the WWE, including Triple H and definitely Vince McMahon. And he's just been able to continue to stay in the company. Just goes to show you the value of that last name that he has. John Cena, on the other hand, he's just been doing the damn thing. He just comes in, he does what he needs to do, he rolls out, does all these great things with the Make-A-Wish Foundation. This is a real close one, man. This is a real close one. But I would have to have Randy Orton go over, just from the way that John Cena ripped into Orton. And then you also got to take into consideration how John Cena had planted Randy Orton through the wooden tables and all that. You know, this could be a plan well devised by the Authority, just to try to screw John Cena out of his World Heavyweight title. I think that the $1 million question that a lot of you all need to be asking yourselves is if the Authority figure is going to play some type of interference in this match in a way that could screw John Cena out of the World Heavyweight title. That's the main question you guys need to be asking yourself. But with regards to this match, if it's not going to be Randy Orton, I'm really entertaining the idea that both of these guys, they very well could swap titles. They could reach for the opposite championship belt and become champions at the same time. So it very well could be Randy Orton taking the World Heavyweight title and John Cena taking the WWE title. That's one idea that I know a lot of you are looking at, and you're probably saying this is probably what's going to happen. I honestly feel that WWE, if they're smart, I think they should swerve fans, because I think a lot of fans is going to be expecting that finish. So I think to try to make it be less predictable, I say you let Randy Orton go on ahead and get both of those titles. Now, as far as what would the future hold for John Cena, I think honestly you need to have there be a break, because there are so many wrestling fans out there, definitely some of my colleagues that's out there, that really do not want to see Randy Orton, John Cena continue to lock it up. These guys have been going at it since 2002, and WWE, they've tried to do their own unique spin on this to make it seem as though this is a rivalry that has just really been intensifying over the years. That might be all fine and dandy, especially when you consider that both of these guys are the graduating class of OVW's 2002. But all in all, fans want to see fresh matchups, and honestly, I feel it's just a little bit too soon to have Randy Orton and John Cena lock it up. They need to really take an extended break from one another for the title, even though we're hearing the rumblings that it very well could be John Cena taking on Randy Orton at this year's WrestleMania. I'm really hoping that it's not going to be the case, that it is going to go in a completely different direction. But for this night of TLC, I'm going to go with Randy Orton over John Cena to become your new unified champion. And folks, there you have it. Let's take it from the bottom, work our way to the top again. So, for the Intercontinental Championship, I have Big E Langston going over Damian Sandow for the retain. For the WWE Divas Championship, I got AJ Lee going over Natalya. Look for AJ to come out with Tamina, while Natalya has one or both of the Bellas in her corner. I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot of outside interference going on that could very well go in favor of AJ Lee retaining her title. For the WWE Tag Team titles, I have the team of Cody Rhodes, Goldust, going over Ryback and Curtis Axel. Daniel Bryan versus the Wyatt family, while CM Punk takes on the Shield. Both of these guys are going to be in 3-on-1 handicap matches. It is really too close to call, but I feel that there could be a little bit of divide and conquer going on, which in the end could see CM Punk, Daniel Bryan teaming up to join forces to take out their common enemies. Look for Daniel Bryan to be squaring off against Bray Wyatt, but despite that, I do see there being some type of a 3-on-1 beatdown on Daniel Bryan. I have the Wyatt family defeating Daniel Bryan. Meanwhile, CM Punk taking on all three members of the Shield, thinking about the rifts that's been going on, or the miscommunications that's been going on. I think CM Punk will really be able to exploit that in this match. I say look for him to pick up the W. And for the World Heavyweight Championship and the WWE Championship, as it's a unification match for those respected titles, John Cena versus Randy Orton in a tables, ladders, and chairs match. I'm looking at Randy Orton to go over. Don't be too surprised, though, if WWE decides they want to stick to their guns and exploit the idea of having both guys reach for opposite titles at the same time to basically swap titles. Now, this is something that would be one hell of a controversial finish in a way to set up Monday's WWE Raw. So don't be too surprised if that happens, but if WWE goes with the less predictable route, I say they should go with Randy Orton becoming the new unified champion. And folks, that is going to do it. Hey, what are your match predictions? We'd love to hear from you. Feel free to interact with us by posting a comment down below. Twitter at the RCWR Show or Facebook at Infinity One Productions. And if you're spot on, we'll definitely do our best to give you a live on-air mention when we get ready to do our WWE TLC post show, which you'll be able to catch right here on YouTube and also at blogtalkradio.com. It's a special simulcast that we'll be doing for you guys as soon as TLC goes off the air. We'll have the chat room open, phone lines open. Everything is going to be open, as we definitely want to hear from you guys and get you all's thoughts on the WWE TLC pay-per-view. So make sure you join us for that this Sunday night, December 15th. Again, on youtube.com and also at blogtalkradio.com. Gonna miss the episode live? No problem. The episode will be available on demand through iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, also on YouTube. Just use the keywords, the RCWR Show.